Hey, gun people. Horses out there finishing food. We're getting some bad weather coming in. It's going to be cold. Hell, it's like 60 today, so the horses are sweating because they got their winter fur on. And tonight it's getting down to 30, and I think tomorrow it's going to be raining in the 20s. And then maybe some snow. So, I don't know what the hell's going on here. But, let's get to this video about plain search and plain sight and all that. Okay, so on the last video I did, I made some notes because you guys had some questions. So let's get to some of these questions. So the video I'm referring to is where the cop had the mask on, went into the wrong house, and the chief and the mayor came out and said he's relieved of duty and we're investigating him. So there were some good questions, and I wanted to clear up a few things because a couple people made some comments that either I misrepresented or we just disagree. So mask. Somebody made a comment about masks. The reason why cops wear masks is it protects them against chemicals or spark. To me, that's all excuses. I don't believe that shit. Is there a reason maybe when you have a warrant and you have a SWAT team going in and they can be masked? Maybe. I'm telling you, I've seen SWAT teams that have done warrants. We've used them on some of our high-risk warrants, and when they wear masks, they all act like assholes because they're unaccountable and you can't see the face. And anytime you can hide your identity, just like on YouTube, just like if you make videos and you hide your identity and you can hide in your comments and you make your fake names and your fake book pages and all this crap, anytime you hide your identity, there's problems. You do shit to where you can't be held accountable. And then you can be unethical, you can lie, you can cheat, you can make up shit, and you can't be held responsible. I'm not a fan of masks. I'm not a fan of the government telling citizens they can't wear a mask. I don't think government, public employees out there using deadly force, force and entry and doing all that should be wearing masks. That's my opinion. We can disagree. Okay. Starting to sprinkle a little bit. I might have to move the camera. We aren't supposed to get rain till this afternoon. It's about, I think it's like 9 a.m. And the rain's not supposed to come in till 2 or 3. But it was raining a few months ago. Alright. Can you look in an open door? And this is going to be mainly more about plain sight, warrants, etc. Before I forget, because I just popped on my mind. Warrants. Warrants can be verbal. They can be, which is verbal or oral. They can be through a fax. I think you could probably do it through email. I'm not sure. And they can be written. So a judge can walk up to me and say, you need to arrest that guy. That's an arrest warrant. I don't need to know the probable cause. Now, I'm not saying I would do it. I would probably ask questions, but a judge can give a verbal order. And I think there was a case where a judge was drinking with somebody and told a cop to arrest somebody who was being rude to him in a bar, and the cop didn't do it, and they tried to get the cop for failing to obey an order from a judge or to execute a warrant because the judge said that was an oral warrant, a verbal warrant, and he should have arrested the guy and he didn't. It's a long time, and it goes back to way back in academy. There was an example they used. But can a cop give you, can I verbally say to a judge, Judge, I think this guy needs arrested. Here's my probable cause. I explain why I think this guy needs arrested. The judge goes, that sounds good. Arrest him. Now, all police work has to be documented. Some people were saying, you can't get a verbal warrant because it has to be written. You got to look. All police work need to be documented, but it can be documented at a later date. And that's the whole purpose of exigency. Exigency is an emergency to where there's a time requirement, and if you take the time to go get a warrant, you're going to lose, you might lose life, you might lose evidence, you might let someone get away, escape. So exigency is there even though you don't have a written warrant. A oral warrant could be, or a verbal warrant could be considered exigency for time expediency. The cops are on the scene. I mean, I've been out and needed a warrant, and I'm 2 hours away from the judge and the area, and by the time travel time and every time we couldn't secure it, there was multiple people there. So there's a lot of different reasons on why there's exigency, and it all boils down to reasonableness. As a cop, if I can say why I did something and why I didn't take the time to go get a warrant and it sounds reasonable, then it'll fly. And if it doesn't fly, who cares? I mean, to me, it's not personal. I'm going to do what I think's right and then let the chips fall. Because even when I do things 100% right, the judge can cut a deal, the defense attorney can cut a deal, somebody who knows somebody who can pay the DA can say, I'm not going to prosecute. So there's all kind of, spokes in the wheel along the way that can undo my good work. So I can't get caught up into, well, what if, and why would you, and why shouldn't I, whatever. Do the right thing, do your freaking job, earn your money, do what you would want somebody to do as a cop, get bad guys off the streets, and that's probably what I do. So, all right, can you look in an open door? Plain sight says I can seize any contraband that I see as long as I'm where I can see it lawfully. Now, there was an issue, it used to be, and it was challenged, and I think it was considered okay. There was a case to where somebody called in a Crime Stoppers, or a neighbor called it. Somebody said so-and-so was growing marijuana in their backyard, and the cops couldn't see in the backyard. So the cops, having government paid money to whatever, and I don't know if they used government money to rent a plane, but they rented a private plane, had the plane fly them over this house, saw a huge marijuana grow, wrote a warrant, got a warrant. The warrant was approved by the judge and the DA. They searched the house to seize the marijuana. Well, one court threw it out and said, no, you can't go up in a plane. That's not plain sight. Then the appeals court said, yes, it is plain sight. You can enhance your ability to see as long as you're where you're authorized to be. That person who had the marijuana did not have an expectation of privacy of the air. So therefore, if the sky is open and you don't cover it, anybody can fly over and see it. Therefore, it is in plain view. Therefore, if a cop flies over and sees it, he can use it and say it's in plain view. If I can go to the top of a mountain with a telescope and zoom down to your backyard and see that you're growing marijuana, I can see it because it's in plain view. Now, for a while there, I remember there was quite a few cases being juggled around the courts about what is what and can you use infrared. And there was a case about they used infrared or I can't think of the term, thermal scope, to see the heat lamps in the house and knew that it was producing so much heat that it could only be used for a marijuana grow, and they got a warrant. And I think that one might have been overturned because they said there might be legitimate reasons for somebody having all those heat lamps other than just growing marijuana, and they thought that was too weak. And I think that one might have been overturned. Now, if they had a high electric bill of $5,000 a month, which is totally unnormal, and the electric company reported it, and they did the thermal and they saw it, and they had a neighbor that said there's people coming in and making drugs, now, totality of circumstances, they would be able to use that thermal view as one piece of the probable cause. But that one piece alone was not probable cause decided by the court. So plain view, if I can see it, I'm good. As a cop, I walk by, and we did this all the time. You walk down in the summer, sometimes in the hood, all the guys keep their doors open. They're all playing their music. They're all standing in the door waiting for something to happen, smoking, whatever, looking out for the cops so they can warn everybody, whatever they do. So when you get a call in some areas and you walk down, I mean, there may be 15, 20 people out standing in their doorway, and you may walk by them, and they'll eyeball you and, what we call eye fuck you, and, give you the evil eye, and because they ain't doing nothing, you ain't coming to them, and whatever. So, but if I walk by the house, and I look in the house, and I see, let's say I see a gun. Who thinks I can seize that gun? Raise your hand. You big dummy. I have to prove that that gun's contraband. I can't act on something unless I can have probable cause to believe that that's contraband. So seeing a gun is not plain sight rule. Seeing a fully automatic, if I knew it was fully automatic AK, if I knew it was a, what else could I see? How can you see a gun that's illegal? Okay, in California, you can't have an assault rifle, as they call it. Anything with a flash suppressor is illegal in California. So let's say I walk by and I see a gun and it has a flash suppressor. Now I can seize it because it's contraband. Flash suppressors aren't allowed in California. It's against the law. I just unviewed a crime in plain view. I can seize that gun. Now, could I snatch that guy out of the doorway and say, I think that gun's illegal. Do you mind if I go look at it? And he tells me to pack sand 14 different ways. Okay. I asked him if there's anyone else in the house. He says no, and you can't go in. Can I seize the gun or can I search the house? This is where plain view cops get diluted or people don't understand it. Plain view only gives me the right to seize the contraband I see. It does not give me the right to search for more contraband. So, can I seize that gun? Yes. Now, here's where people are going to say, you're supporting the cops and you're just a cop lover and you're just as bad, you're a bootleg. I'm just telling you the law, okay? When I seize that gun, I now have probable cause to get a warrant to search the rest of the house for other contraband, for receipts on the purchase of that, to see who installed it, if there's installing tools, if there are tool marks on the flash suppressors. So I'm going to write this warrant and search the house. Before I get that warrant, I have to stay there and hold that guy out of the house. And because he already has contraband, I don't believe that no one else is in the house. So now I have the right to do what's called a protective sweep. I can search that house to make sure there's no children, there's nobody in danger, there's no other criminals, and there's nobody else in the house that could destroy evidence, hide evidence, or flush evidence. Therefore, I can search the house for the limited scope of looking for people, not looking for other contraband. However, comma, if while searching for people I go in another room and I see a big pile of coke on the table, now I can use that for my probable cause also in the warrant, and I could technically seize that, but I'm not. If there's nobody in the house, I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to go get a warrant and say, while I was doing a protective sweep, I saw it. Let me move it's starting to rain. Shit, and it's blowing this way. What am I going to do? We'll put it over here and people be like, Rick, you're making me sick moving the camera. Right? Shut up, you big crybabies. Get my damn wallet all phone wet, paper wet. All right. Where the hell was I? Oh, am I going to seize the coke? I can, but most people, when they say seize in plain sight, unless I just want to snag it to prevent somebody from grabbing it, most times I'm not going to seize it. If there's a bunch of coke on the table, I'm not going to just grab it. I'm going to say, nobody touch that table, everybody's detained, get your hands up, we're all going outside, you're all being detained until we find out who this coke is. And then we'll go from there. And probably, you know, there'd be other units there, we'd handcuff them all, do a pat down for weapons, search the seat cushions on the couch before we set them on the couch to make sure there's no guns there, then set them on the couch and go, you know what, you guys are detained until we go get a warrant. Now, I could ask them for consent and say, hey, do you mind if we search your house, and then we don't have to wait for a warrant. I didn't like doing that. Remember, when a cop searches without a warrant, it's all on the cop, and the attorney gets to attack you, your credibility, your reasoning. If you make one misstep, you will lose the evidence. But when I have a warrant, I'm golden. He can't attack me now. He can only attack the warrant. As long as I was honest in the warrant, the DA reviewed the warrant, the judge signed off on the warrant, I'm golden. Very, very rarely do people lose things when they have a warrant. That's why the courts and good cops always say, I'd much rather get a warrant. Most cops, because they're scared of a warrant, they haven't written a lot, it takes a lot of time, they tie up a lot of unit and resources, they get pressure from the sergeant and everybody. they don't go get warrants. They go, screw it, let the detectives, let somebody else go do it. So, but ideally, man, every search I ever did, I'd just soon do a warrant, because I know I'm golden then. All right, so I'm jumping around here. Can you look in a door? So the whole point of that was, can I walk by a door, look in, see a flash suppressor in California, no flash suppressors were illegal, and seize that gun. Not only do I seize the gun, I seize the house because I'm going to get a warrant, and I remove all parties. I can do a protective sweep only for people, but while doing that protective sweep for people, anything I see I can use in my probable cause to get a warrant. Now I know some of you are going to be like, that's jackboot, there's no, and you're just lying. Look, I'm telling you the law, and it doesn't matter. Let's say I didn't do a protective sweep, and let's say I didn't see anything else. I still have enough to get a warrant. So if I walk through the house and see dope and a dead body and a child in a corner that's child abuse, and I see all this other stuff, it makes my probable cause stronger, but it doesn't change the fact. And that's where we get into what's called inevitable discovery. If I can get something in and say it was going to be discovered anyway, I get it in. So, and I'll make that a different topic, because that's kind of a big topic. If you guys want me to cover inevitable discovery, I will, but put it in the comments and I'll say it. All right, consent. Consent searches can be verbal or written. Verbal is better if you have it on tape or on video. Written is better because you explain it and the guy signs it. It takes longer. It's very hard for a person to say, yeah, the cop read this to me, I read it, and then I signed it, but I didn't give him consent. That's kind of tough to sell. With video, shoot, you get them a written consent and video, you're golden. Because what they're going to argue about the written consent, and I've had them argue this before, is, isn't it true you coerced him? Isn't it true that you told him that if he didn't sign the consent, you were going to take his kids? No, I never said that. Well, he said you threatened to take his kids. Well, I didn't threaten to take his kids. Well, he said that, and it's only your word against his, so who are we going to believe? You? So they make you look, even if you get a written consent, they can still spin it around. So recording it, and with videotape now, man, cop work's easy now. I mean, shit, we barely even had a camera. We had to call somebody with a camera a lot of times to come out, because phones were just coming out. We were carrying beepers, and then we were just getting the Nextels, and all they could do is beep each other. They couldn't even, when Nextels first came out, they couldn't even take a picture. And they damn sure couldn't take video. Then the new phones, you could take pictures. I was like, hey man, that's cool. Then the newer phones, you got videos, but I didn't rank high enough to get one of the fancy phones. And then I got my own phone later toward the end of my career. But, I mean, to seeing how much easier it is now to snap pictures, and I was telling this guy who was a young cop who just got hired with an agency, it's like, dude, take a freaking picture of everybody you contact if you think it's going to turn hinky or anything. If you let anybody go, snap a picture. If you arrest anybody, snap a picture. Now, we used to have to go through and get the booking photo and request it and get a copy of it and do all that just to know what the guy looked like, because 6-8 months later, you go to court and the guy's sitting there all cleaned up. He's lost weight. He's put on weight. He's changed his beard. He looks totally different. And the prosecutor will be, or the defense will be like, do you see the person in here that you arrested? And obviously, this guy's sitting next to him, but a couple times I couldn't recognize him. And I didn't say it. The DA would always be like, man, just say you recognize him. Nobody knows. That's him. I go, man, I don't remember him. I said, that was a long time ago. He goes, damn it, Gore, you're messing up my case. I go, dude, he doesn't look for, I don't have any recollection of that dude whatsoever. I said, so we'd have to go through and get the case, and then he would have to, it makes the DA work harder. Then he has to prove, is the person you arrested this name? Yes. And did you print him? Yes. Is this your signature on a print? Yes. Okay. This person here, Your Honor, is the same person that's printed. If the defense will stipulate, we will get this in. And then they would have to get it in. And it's a lot more work. It's a lot easier if the DA just gets a cop to lie and say, yes, that guy's sitting to the defense attorney. And I know a lot of cops that did that. But you know what? There was a few times that dude just changed completely. I go, man, I would swear I've never seen that dude before. And the DA would be like, damn, dude, you're killing me. And I'm like, sorry, dude, I don't get him. And so we pull photos, and we pull an old photo, and the booking photo, I'd be like, oh, yeah, that's the dude I arrested. I remember him. He goes, that's the same guy. I go, he don't look like the same guy. He goes, I'm telling you the same. I said, do you want me to testify that you told me the same? No. He goes, you have to remember. I go, I arrested that dude. I said, that dude don't look like this guy. And I mean, that's just the way it is. And to me, the jury would look at the two pictures and go, I don't blame you. They don't look like the same dude either. But they don't want to hear that. And those to me are the little lies and the little peer pressures that gets cops in trouble. But shit, I digress. I don't know where the hell. Oh yeah, consent. And now consent can be also written. I think a text would be fine. If I was a cop and I couldn't get a written, and a guy was sitting there with a phone, I go, dude, you got a phone? Yeah. Yo, man, what's your number? I'm going to text you. You told me I could search your car. Yeah, I don't care. You can search it. I'm just going to text you to make sure. Text him, hey, this officer so-and-so. I just want to confirm you giving me consent to search your car. Just reply yes or no. And I go, yo, dude, I sent you a text. I'd have that knucklehead respond, yeah, search my car. Now I have written proof. Now, instead of just verbal, I have written. You can't get too much, and a lot of people be like, dude, that's overkill. It's overkill until you're sitting on a stand a few times and the defense attorney is chewing you out. And most of the public defenders, they don't care. So they're not going to be too bad. But every once in a while, you get a public defender that you beat in one case and he's got a hard-on for you. So every time, man, there was some defense attorneys, when I went to court, it'd be like, shit, not this guy, man. He freaking hates me. And I hate him. And, man, he'd be like, Officer Gore, how are you doing? I'd be like, shit, here we go. So I'd always have to warn the DA, yo, man, this dude's going to brag. Stay on your objection and don't let him beat me up for bullshit. All right, so, and then is there implied or inferred consent? I got to admit, I think I might have used this a few times. I've asked a guy, hey, man, do you mind if I search your car? Like, why? I said, you got any weapons in there? No. I said, then I just want to check. Be like, whatever. Is that an affirmative answer? Who thinks that I can search that car when he says whatever? Raise your hand. It depends. It depends on who and what he says. If he goes to court and said, yeah, I mean, when I explain it, I'm going to be very articulate. I'm going to say he never objected. He never told me to stop. When he said whatever, when I started searching, I said, hey, dude, I'm just looking for weapons, and if you want me to stop at any time, you just tell me. And he didn't answer me. So that makes my consent stronger, because now I even gave him the option to say stop, and he didn't. So he said whatever. He never told me to stop. When he said whatever, he shrugged his shoulders like he didn't care. To me, that was kind of an implied or inferred consent. I searched his car. Would I keep the evidence? It depends. If I found evidence of a dead body, maybe they would let me keep it because they were like, can't let a murderer go. If I found evidence of marijuana and somebody wanted to jam this guy up, maybe they would fight it and go, ah, it's not worth the hassle for marijuana, we'll just throw it out. So it doesn't, now some people may think that I'm wrong for doing that. Well, you should, Rick, if you abide by the Constitution, you should have got a yes or a no. And the law doesn't really say that. It says you have to have consent. So, did I have consent? I thought I did. All right, let's see here. Plain sight. I have to have probable cause to believe. I think I already covered that. That's contraband. I can't just go in plain sight and go, oh, there's a gun. Oh, you know what? Is that baby powder on the counter? That looks like Coke. And go in and seize it. It has to be reasonable. Okay, there was a case about the serial number. I remember this. These cops go in and they're in a house to arrest some dude, I think, for a robbery. And cops used to do this a lot. And I know they still do. If we go in with somebody and our case is weak on that case, they'll start looking around the room to see what else we can find, because we may find something stronger or easier that'll give us a search warrant. So these cops were in this house doing what I just explained, and they were investigating, I think, a robbery or burglary. And while they were there, they go, man, is that stereo stolen? And the guy didn't answer them, and they went over, moved the stereo, read the serial number, ran it, and it came back stolen. They didn't know it was stolen. They were just fishing. But they threw that out. Why did they throw that out? Plain sight, the serial number's right there. Because he had to move and manipulate the item to see the serial number to run it, and that was excessive. That wasn't the plain sight doctrine. When plain sight first came out, it was based on inadvertent views of the officer. And then over time, the courts changed that, and they took out, it had to be, it used to be plain sight, had to be inadvertently seen by the officer. And that word inadvertently, they were losing a lot of shit because it was like, well, weren't you looking for it? And did you look over there? So it really wasn't inadvertent. So the courts ruled, look, doesn't matter whether he's looking or it's inadvertent. If he sees it and he's where he's allowed to be, it's plain sight. All right. I know a lot of you are like, what the hell is he talking about? All right, looking for serial number, not good. Let's see. I can't move objects. I can't go in a house and start like the gun with a flash suppressor. Let's say there's a gun standing up in a corner with a blanket around it, and it's standing in a corner. And I'm like, I see a gun, but I don't know if it's got a flash suppressor. So I move the blanket, and it's got a flash suppressor. Yeah! Raise your hand if you think I'm good. No. I moved, I manipulated something to see it. It's not covered in plain view. Okay, and I think I already covered, plain view does not authorize additional searches. It only authorizes me to seize the contraband, and then I can use that seizure or the contraband as my probable cause to get a warrant or consent, or exigency, or protective sweep of the house. Now, look, people are going to say, you just use protective sweep to get in. There are cops that use a protective sweep just to get in, and it's bullshit. And the courts should spank them for it. But realistically, if I'm going to secure a house for a warrant, I need to secure it. I don't want some guy hiding evidence. I don't want some guy popping out a window. I don't want somebody holding somebody hostage in the back room, and we're waiting out here for 2 hours, and meanwhile he kills her, rapes her, cuts her throat because I didn't do a protective sweep, and they're in the basement doing... Look, a protective sweep is legitimate to me to secure the scene while you're waiting to get a warrant. Now, I've had, I won't say what agency, CHP. We're doing a protective sweep and freaking CHP will be helping on the sweep and they'll be in there opening drawers. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just looking for shit. I go, dude, you can't do that. We're looking for people. This is a protective sweep. We haven't got the warrant yet. Oh, Rick, nobody cares. We're going to have a warrant anyway. And that's where we would get into inevitable discovery, but we'll cover that later. All right, let's see. Somebody mentioned game wardens. Okay, game wardens are in a different class. They're in the same kind of special area as customs. Customs and post office do not need probable cause to look in your stuff. By using customs or flying international or mailing something to post office, you give implied consent that you will allow inspectors to make sure you're not sending contraband or mailing or bringing things in. So they don't need probable cause. You kind of waive your Fourth Amendment to do that. When you hunt and get a hunting license or you go out and do hunting, you waive your Fourth Amendment rights. Basically, you don't really waive it by signing something. You waive it by a game warden has special powers, and they're not really special powers. They just don't need normal probable cause that cops need. They need to say, I'm looking for something related to unlawful hunting. So they can check your coolers to make sure you got the right amount of fish or the same size fish. They can check your car to make sure you have the right rifles or the wrong ammo, or you're not using thermal or whatever the laws are for hunting in that area. They can check your car if you're bow hunting and it's bow season to see if you have a gun. They can search without probable cause to enforce the game warden related issues. Now, the problem with that is cops have learned that they don't need that, and I might have been involved in this. I don't think I ever asked a warrant, but I think I was working with a couple cases where they've asked a game warden to help us out. And most of the times they would say no. I say most of the time. Probably 2 times they said no. I think 1 time they said yeah. And that's just a rough estimate, you know, over the years. So what cops will do is say, hey man, you don't need a warrant. We don't have enough to get in there. He was out hunting. He just came back with all the shit. I saw him bringing some ducks in. Can you go make sure he's not over the limit? And that way we'll go with you to protect you. And then if we see anything in plain sight, we can seize it. That's illegal. It's wrong. Now when we're doing it, it's kind of like, the ends justify the means. This is a bad guy. You know, he's wanted for kidnapping, and there's still a woman missing, and it was his girlfriend. We think he killed her. So, you know what? We got to get this guy, however. And I get kind of close to those areas when you're chasing, and I notice that more and more. The more bad guys you go after, the more you're willing to bend the rules or step over the line, because the ends justify the means. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying that I was out there being some rogue crazy cop, but I would bend the rules that I think I could get away with and that the courts would support me. And cops do that now. That's why they're shooting dogs. That's why they're shooting everybody for no reason. The courts let them get away with it, so they do it. And you people want to come here and go, they need more training. You're a freaking idiot. It ain't got nothing to do with training. It's what the courts allow. When cops lose their jobs and go to jail, the actions that they do and the behavior that they do stop. Pretty simple. It's not rocket science. They're getting paid. They got a pension. They're usually law-abiding. They're out there working. Normally, they don't want to lose their job and lose their pension. So if they know they can't do something, most of them don't do it. All right, let's see. Game wardens, I just covered that. And remember, a game warden can't just come up to you and go, hey, I'm a game warden, I want to see if you have... No. He's got to connect it to a hunting or fishing or some way. Game wardens cannot just drive around highways and pull people over and search them for stuff. No, they can't do that. I know a lot of people tell you that, and cops that don't know what the hell they're talking about be like, man, game wardens are great. They can just search anybody without probable cause. That's not true. They can search people related to game warden issues again, just like auto theft. When I was working Auto Theft Task Force in California, there's a special law that allows auto theft investigators who work primary job as investigating auto theft that we can stop cars that we think might be engaged in stolen activity, and we don't need probable cause. Through our experience and our training, if we think a car might be engaged in a stolen car, we can stop and what's called do a vehicle inspection on that car. I think it's bullshit, but it's in the law, and we used to do it. If we had a high volume, like, I can't remember the cars that were being stolen at the time, Hondas, Classic Caprice, whatever they were, whatever the hoodlums or gangs are driving, those are your high-stolen, high-value cars. So when we see one, we could pull them over, check the VIN, make sure the plate's MAC, make sure the VIN, check the VIN number. If they have a NHTSA sticker, we would check the NHTSA stickers, and we'd say, okay, good to go. And we would not need any other violation. So basically, they gave auto theft cops the ability to use their training and special expertise to do things without needing some exigent probable cause. Like cops, if I pull you over, I need to have violation, tail light, you swerve, something hanging from your mirror, windshield obstructed, no seatbelt. I need some crime or PC to pull you over. Auto theft, I didn't need that. Game wardens, they don't need that, but they have to be in there specially. Because I can stop a car to do inspections, it doesn't mean I can go knocking on doors and search their house and go, hey, you got any car parts in here? I just want to look, I'm working auto theft. No, it doesn't mean it. So there's all these restrictions that most people don't talk about. They just hear the quick version. Oh, game wardens can search anybody without a warrant or probable cause. That's not true. All right, here we go. Is wearing a mask, laws on masks for a crime? Cops, I don't think, should be wearing masks. I don't think the government should be passing laws that citizens shouldn't be able to wear a mask. If they do, then I don't think, I'm not a big, well, I won't even go there. So, mask. Their Sheepdog posted a section, and I can't remember the section, something 40, I don't know if it's 48, 148 maybe, I don't know. There's a section where you can't, in California, you can't wear a mask, but it's not that you can't wear a mask. It's that you can't wear a mask to hide your identity from your being engaged in a crime. So there's those other factors. So somebody that doesn't know, or a new cop may go, hey man, there's a section that says you can't wear a mask in California, it's against the law. That's not true. You can't wear a mask if you're trying to hide your identity because you're committing or engaged in criminal activity. Which means for me to enforce that no mask rule, I have to prove that you're hiding your identity or attempting to hide your identity and you're engaged in some criminal crime. So there's not just like a blanket no mask law. Let's see. Okay. Somebody said they'd shoot a cop with a mask. Last two people. Somebody said, can you shoot a cop who comes to your house with a mask? Look, if you shoot a cop, you're going to lose. I'm sorry. There is very, very small, minute situations where you can shoot a cop. If a cop was I mean, just beating the hell out of somebody and shot a couple innocent people and you shot him, you'd probably be okay. If you shoot a cop and say, I thought he was impersonating a cop, you better be able to justify, and everybody needs to be really clear that if anybody else sees that, they think the same thing. Because if it's anywhere a close call, you're going to lose. So can you shoot a cop with a mask? Sure, you can shoot a cop without a mask under special circumstances, but you're probably going to lose unless you have one hell of a case. And the last one is a man with a gun an exigency? It depends. Because a man with a gun, is he pointing it? Is he having it? Is it hot pursuit? So, somebody said, I wonder if that state where the man with a gun, where he entered the house, is an open carrier of guns are unlawful. If you get a call from a 911 that a guy's waving a gun around in a dangerous manner, you have a crime. You can investigate that crime. If you approach that guy and he runs off, you can chase him because you have a crime. And now you have hot pursuit. And if he runs in a house, you can follow him. And you can kick the door without a warrant to go in and seize him because the pursuit started in a public place. So is a man with a gun an exigency? It depends. If a guy goes and checks his mail and he's got a gun on, and a neighbor says he had a gun, he went out and checked his mail, and he goes back in his house, I have no exigency. I can go knock on his door. I can ask him to come from the door. I can ask him to see the gun. I can ask him if the gun's registered. I can ask him if he has a permit. He doesn't have to answer any of those, including the door, because I don't have a crime, and I don't have hot pursuit, and I don't have exigency. And if I did, and he doesn't answer the door, and he doesn't answer questions, then I either hit the road, or I go get a warrant. And if I don't have enough to get a warrant, then I hit the road. So, can you shoot a guy with a gun? Can you shoot a cop with a gun? Or is a gun call an exigency? It depends. And again, there's so many circumstances. So anyway, all right, we went down memory lane for multiple issues. Hopefully you got something out of that. A lot of you guys who aren't cops, it may not matter. Some of you guys who want to know the law and understand the law, which I think everybody should. That's a good thing. Hi, boy, what are you doing? Drinking your water. It's like, whatever, Dad. He's had his food. They're drinking their water. You guys get ready. It's going to be cold. We might get some snow. Buddy's going to be a whiteback grizzly bear out there. Like, whatever, dude. Another day in the pasture. All right, we'll end that there. Where's old Mr. T? Smokey's inside because it's raining. There's old Mr. T. Hey, old man. It's like, what? You talking to me? Hi, Mr. T. All right, we'll end that there. Rabbits are still around, or they were last night. I haven't seen them today yet.